What up, peeps? The fat guy is back again. Ha ha ha. But yeah, nah. I just wanted to talk about this Big 12 expansion and Texas and Oklahoma and their prissy stuff and that. Hey, we're Texas and Oklahoma, so we get to call the shots because we're the only two big teams. Well, someone forgot to tell Texas they ain't been very good recently. And Oklahoma is always the same Oklahoma. We're going to win a lot of games. We're going to get to the big game, and we're going to choke on a deck. You know, but this is more or less about the expansion. The fact is that I was mad that Oklahoma made the playoffs last year, and it wasn't because they played in the Big 12. It only had 10 teams. It was because they lost to a losing team. They lost to a team that did not have a winning record. And I also feel the same way about Ohio State the year before. If you lose to a team with a losing record, you do not deserve to be in the playoff unless the teams behind you all have two losses or more. That's the only way for me. Because ultimately you lost to a team that probably lost to many teams that sucked. So that's just the way it goes. My thing is that the Big 12 has an opportunity to add Houston, Memphis, Boise State, UCF, USF, Rice. They're all of those teams. They could add any of those two teams, any of them. And they're not doing it. The fact is Houston and Memphis are on the rise. Adding a Florida team would give you the Florida market, which they don't have. It doesn't matter where the teams are. Travel doesn't mean shit for the Big 12 because you got West Virginia that's all the way up in the fucking east, all the way on the East Coast, and they're in the Big 12. So that doesn't mean shit. Simple fact is for me, if you don't have a conference championship, you should not get to play in the playoff. And the reason why is because we have a whole bunch of smaller conferences that do have conference championships, have teams that lose one game, and they'll never, ever, ever, ever get a chance to play in the fucking playoff. And yes, I understand a lot of those teams play weaker teams and all this. Well, have you looked at the Big 12 lately? Big 12 sucks. It's not been very good. It's top heavy. There's like 2-3 teams that win games, or 2-3-4 teams that win games, and the rest of them are shit. It is what it is. So I just hope the NCAA says, you know what, fuck you. We're not going to let you in the playoff until you add 2 more teams. Get that shit rolling. It's time. It's time for Texas and Oklahoma to quit being bitches and allow other teams in and allow this shit to change. They're money grubbing bastards. That's the reason why. That's the reason why Missouri and A&M left. That's the reason why Nebraska left. That's the reason why a lot of these teams that have left that conference left because of Texas and Oklahoma. It's time to quit. Glorifying two schools that haven't won a title in a long time. It's been years since they've won a title. Either one of them. So, ultimately, that's my opinion on it. I feel like no playoff, or no conference championship, no playoff. It needs to be fair across the board. All the conferences need to play the same amount of games and all of this. It's like a Big 12 fan complaining, the SEC teams play an FCS school. Well, number one, those FCS schools have to make money somehow. That's, the big schools pay for them to make money. Number two, what is the difference of an SEC team playing an FCS school if you're not playing an extra game? You're not playing anyone. You literally don't play no one. So what's worse, is the nobody team that you don't play, or the team that's an FCS school that actually benefits by playing the SEC school? Do I agree with the SEC playing FCS schools? No, but ultimately I still like it better than them not playing as many games. You need that conference championship in there. It has to be there. Because fact of the matter is, 2 years ago, if they had a conference championship, Ohio State would have never made the playoff. It would have been someone out of the Big 12. But because there was no conference championship, they got nothing. That's just how it goes. But hey, if they don't change it, they don't change it. I will continue to say that none of them deserve it, and I will continue to blast them. Because that's just the way it goes. But Anywho, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments about it, please post below.